With unlimited data from T-Mobile, you've got unlimited access to MLB All-Star Week. Post and follow the game's biggest stars as they belt bombs and live it up on the sidelines with #ScoreUnlimited. And no matter where you are, never miss a moment from Miami on America's best unlimited network. With T-Mobile, unlimited data means unlimited baseball.
Top 3% of data users over 32 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds. Video typically streams at 480p. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Hello there, welcome into the show. What a 24 hours we've had in transfer land. I venture to suggest Steve Nicol, Alejandro Moreno and Paul Mariner with me, Adrian Healy. We'll have Sid Lowe and Mark Ogden joining us shortly. And Ali, I leave the floor with you to introduce the first subject of today's show. There's only one that can be introduced.
Lukaku!
Lukaku? Romelu Lukaku, who seemed for all the world to be heading to Chelsea, appears to have switched course over the last 24 hours. First of all, the first clue was Paul Pogba's Instagram post, the two of them together in LA.
Both the men?
With the Toronto Raptors player as well in between them, by the way. But all white everything was the post from Paul Pogba, suggesting that Mr. Lukaku might be on his way to Old Trafford. And indeed, that appears to be the case. Let's get the very latest from the city of Manchester. ESPN FC writer Mark Ogden is with us. How, Mark, did this all come about? And how likely do you think it is that Romelu Lukaku will be wearing Manchester United red at the start of the season?
Well, hi guys, good evening, first of all. Basically, what's happened is United have told us that they've done it very quietly. They've been very stealth in terms of the way they've done this. That they put out all these messages that they were looking at Morata at Real Madrid, which they were looking at Morata, but the idea was that Mourinho's first choice was Lukaku. Now, he had Lukaku at Chelsea and let him go from Chelsea to Everton when he was too young and too inexperienced for Mourinho's liking. He's gone to Everton, done really well. Now, United need a big, powerful centre-forward. It's what Mourinho always has. You know, go through all these successful teams. Benny McCarthy at Porto, Didier Drogba at Chelsea, Diego Costa at Chelsea, Milito at Inter Milan. He wants a powerful centre-forward. Now, like you, we all thought that Lukaku was going to Chelsea. That was the noise that we were being told. He was telling his Belgian teammates that Chelsea was the team for him. But United have just... They'd let people believe they're in for Morata. They'd let people believe that they're looking at the guy Torino, Belotti, and they've just done this quietly. And all of a sudden, Chelsea have seen their plans go astray, and it looks like he's going to United. I think he will go to United. He's in Los Angeles. United head to Los Angeles at the weekend. I think by the time United get to LA on Sunday, he'll have had his medical. He'll be a Man United player.
So, Mark, for you, no shenanigans going on here. Mino Raiola, the super agent, of course, is the man involved. He sent so many players to Old Trafford. They're not playing Chelsea here, are they?
Well, I mean, Everton, interestingly, have said that there's no deal agreed. So, while that's the case, I think Everton are hoping that Chelsea might come in and outbid United. £75 million is a lot of money, but I think in the current market, when it's been so inflated, I think such a fee for Lukaku is quite... I think United have done well there, considering that he's the Premier League's... He's a proven goal scorer. So Chelsea might come in, offer more money, and then we've got a real problem. But you mentioned Mino Raiola. Now, Raiola's got... He had Ibrahimovic at United last season. He had Mkhitaryan at United last season. He's got Pogba at United. So, you know, I think if United do so many deals with Raiola, you'd imagine that Raiola will get this one over the line. But while the deal isn't done, Chelsea have got a chance of getting the guy they want. And But I just think because Lukaku's in LA... He should have been back at Everton at the start of this week. He's still in LA. That tells me that he's waiting in LA for United to arrive, because why fly all the way back to England, have a medical when he can meet his new teammates in LA on Sunday?
Certainly appears to be the case, doesn't it? Joining the dots. £75 million, about $100 million. Is he the right man for United, Steve?
I'm not so sure. You know, Mark talked about, you know, players that Mourinho had previously as his centre-forward. Does he fit into what Mark was saying? Is he big? Yes. Is he powerful? Yes. But I think what all these other players had over Lukaku is they could actually hold the ball up. I don't think...
You don't think he can?
No, I don't think his touch is good enough. I don't think his hold-up play is good enough.
Got a lot of goals, though, Stevie. Look at that. Third most in the Premier League.
He's got a lot of goals in a team where there's not huge amounts of pressure on him. A team who really counter-attacks. That means there's plenty of space for him. And to me, that's why he's got most of his goals. I don't see this guy as your hold-up guy, and I certainly don't see him in and around the penalty box with 2 or 3 yards to try and get something.
Mark made the point that Mourinho loves the big physical centre forward. He's had one at every club he's been at. Is Lukaku more of that sort of player than Morata?
So let me just ask a question first. Are we supposed to forget that Antoine Griezmann at one point was, no doubt about it, going
Apparently
to Manchester United?
He's yesterday's news.
Yeah. So Lukaku has been the number one altogether this whole time. Right. Look, if you want to believe that, go ahead. However, I think the question then becomes, why is Manchester United getting after Lukaku? And it's because I find that they're getting a little antsy. They're getting a little nervous that the summer it seems to be going by and they haven't really gotten their guy just yet. And Morata may be an answer for them, but maybe it's an answer of the unknown because we don't really know whether Alvaro Morata can be the goal scorer and the productive player that Lukaku has been in the Premier League. And so then you go and get a player like Lukaku. You pay the money that you have to pay. However, I'm with Stevie. If you're looking for him to be a hold-up player, he's not that. In fact, naturally, you see him, he has a tendency of going in wider positions. Why? Because he wants to find space, because he likes space around him. When you're Manchester United, one of the things that you don't have plenty of in the attacking half is space. Romelu Lukaku has to improve that part of his game if he wants to become a real important player for Manchester United.
We're going to talk about Morata a little later. Just focus on Lukaku, Paul. Is he the man? Can he do the job? Can he take United where they want to go?
I've said for a long, long time that the way that teams play against Everton, he is afforded more time and space. What are teams going to do with Manchester United? If Mourinho does go into the market and buy the players that we believe that he's going to buy, then teams are going to sit in. I just don't think that Lukaku's got the feet that are quick enough for the link-up play in those tight areas in the attacking third. That's my concern. When he gets in open spaces, when he does get an eye for goal and his touch opens up, then yeah, he can put it in the back of the net. But the spaces in which he's going to be working in this season is much, much tighter.
Mark, of course, he's got a lot of goals, 25 of them in the Premier League for Everton, most goals in the top flight for the Toffees since Gary Lineker over 30 years ago. And that includes, of course, Wayne Rooney and his spell at Everton. What does this mean for Rooney and a potential return to Goodison if this all goes through?
Well, I mean, I think it means that Rooney goes back to Everton. And to be honest, I think Rooney going back to Everton is a bad move for Everton. It's a bad move for Wayne Rooney because, you know, Everton are getting a player that won't score anything like the goals that Lukaku scored. And Rooney's going back to a place where he left at 18 with this great future ahead of him. Now, he spent that future at Man United. He's given his best years to Manchester United. He's going to go back to Everton with this great expectation on his shoulders and a great salary as well, which is much bigger than Lukaku's. And I don't think he's capable of delivering on what the expectations will be. I think Wayne Rooney, I think he scored 5 league goals last season for United. And that's the reason why Mourinho's looking for Lukaku, because Lukaku scores goals against, you know, weaker teams. And United couldn't do that last season. They had 15 draws in the Premier League last season. And, you know, Lukaku may be a flat-track bully, I guess, but it's what United need. And Everton will have lost that. And when Rooney comes in, you know, I've seen Rooney at close quarters now for the best part of 10 years. And I think, having seen him for the last 2 years at United, he's a spent force. You know, he's been playing at the top level for 15 years and he's probably got the body of a 35-year-old, a 36-year-old. He's had 3 metatarsal injuries, he's had hamstring injuries. Everton are getting a player that just cannot do what Lukaku has done. I don't see the value of signing Wayne Rooney, I really don't.
Mark, terrific stuff. Look forward to talking to you in LA. I know you'll be there covering United and Real Madrid next week. You can see Mark's column on ESPNFC.com about Rooney's being given a respectful exit from Manchester United. When we return, we'll switch the focus to that man. Yes, he is committed to staying at Barcelona until the age of 34. The reaction from Catalonia with Sid Lowe next. Well, he's gone and done it. He's put pen to paper. Lionel Messi and the year 2021 are now one and the same in terms of him and Barcelona. Messi, he is the Barcelona story or history. That's the rough translation of the headlines in Catalonia. Lionel Messi signing a new 4-year deal. Sid, interesting gauging the reaction in Catalonia. It's somewhere pitched between excitement and relief, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, there's been a huge sense of excitement over what is, in a way, I suppose on the surface, an entirely unremarkable story. A player who has been at Barcelona all of his career until now, who's been the best player at Barcelona, who's won everything he could wish to win at Barcelona, who didn't, on the face of it at least, have any reason to leave Barcelona, is staying at Barcelona. And in that sense, it's entirely unremarkable. But I think when you see the response, you see the excitement about this, you see the happiness, I think what you see is a slight sense that people needed this. They needed this little bit of good news at Barcelona. The very small hint there that there was a fear that this might not happen, although certainly for the last month or so, I think everybody's basically known this was going to happen. And I think there is a sense of relief. And there's also, I think, a slight difference in this contract renewal to previous ones because of his age. Because this does now mean, assuming that he sees out this contract, that he almost certainly will play his entire career at Barcelona. And that, in modern-day football, even for the very best players at the very best clubs, is pretty unusual.
Sid, how real was the danger that he wasn't going to finish his career at Barcelona?
Well, look, I honestly don't think over the last year that the danger has been that high. But let's try and give you the context of this. The context of this is that his relationship with some members of the board hasn't always been good, although it's worth adding a point here, which is that both the Messi camp and Barcelona themselves have said that these negotiations have actually been very, very smooth. There's been virtually no confrontation, there's been virtually no problem, and that all the way through the relationship in terms of building towards this contract deal has been good. But that doesn't take away the fact that over the last couple of years we've seen very clear signs on occasions of Messi's relationship with the board not being great. Of course, we've also had that sense of Real Madrid overtaking Barcelona this year, maybe even for the first time, even though Madrid had won 3 of the last 4 Champions League. But I think this time, for the first time, it feels like Barcelona are not the biggest club in Europe. I think that's significant. The sense that because he's allowed this contract to get so close to the end, and that fear that not only could he go, but he could walk away for a free, and that all the power was in his hands, I think worried people. Every now and again, little kind of snippets of information, or maybe not information, kind of mischievous troublemaking, if you like, from Paris Saint-Germain, from Manchester City. I think there was a slight hint that, this could actually happen. Now, deep down, I believe most people didn't think this was going to happen, but until it's actually signed, there is always that doubt, isn't there? There's always that fear, because Messi represents so much more than just the best player at Barcelona and probably the best player in the world. He represents everything to them at a moment, at a time when their identity is being chipped away at, where there's doubts about it. He is Barcelona, and I think that's why this has become so important.
Was there ever a doubt in your mind, Ali, that he was going to do this?
No, I think this has been a power move all along by Lionel Messi, where he knows he has all the leverage in the world, and he knows he can push this as far as he possibly can. We have talked and argued at times whether are we at the forefront of perhaps an end of an era when it comes to Barcelona, because some players are transitioning, now players are getting older, there doesn't seem to be the next batch of players coming through. If Lionel Messi had walked away from Barcelona, well, that officially would have put an end to an era. That's not happening. Lionel Messi's there, and as long as Lionel Messi's there, Barcelona has a chance.
You wouldn't have wanted to be that Barcelona president or coach, the one to let Messi slip away for whatever reason.
Unless you wanted to be remembered forever. Other than that, you're correct.
I think to Sid's point, they're talking about the fans being excited and relieved. I think if I'm a player in that Barcelona dressing room and Lionel Messi's going to be there for another 4 years, I'm absolutely ecstatic because the way that front three plays. I mean, I think everybody who loves the game loves to watch that front three, and he's such an integral
And they're all tied up now until 2021. Yeah. All 3 of them.
Let's be honest. If you're Lionel Messi, right, why are you leaving Barcelona? You know, the only real rival to the Champions League, in my opinion, coming in the next couple of years, is always going to be Real Madrid. Everywhere else look as though they're having to build. Why is he going to leave when he just needs to tinker with Barcelona? Because the only other side's Real Madrid, and he ain't going there. So I don't think he was ever leaving.
And the other thing is that, and Sid was talking about it, that this sense in Barcelona that of anxiety, of could he really walk away? Could this be a situation where Barcelona is no longer Barcelona? Hold on a second. Barcelona still has Neymar, still has Luis Suarez. And yes, they've had their issues. And yes, there's a new manager coming in. But you have that front three, the best front three you can put together anywhere else in the world. come on now. Barcelona is still a major player in Europe and in the world, for that matter.
And Sid, just to tie this up, all three of them locked up until 2021, another 4 years, and all three of them playing under Ernesto Valverde next year too.
Yeah, and that's a key point that Ali was getting at there as well. Bear in mind that the timings of this is not coincidental. You know, you renew Neymar, you renew Suarez, and you go to Messi and say, right, the other two are locked in. You've not got any worry about the team around you not being good enough. Don't be concerned about that. We've locked those two in. Now, there's been one or two doubts over time. I quite like the comment that Luis Suarez made when one of the Barcelona directors said, we need to look at this with a cold head, we need to be very, very sensible, and we need to have common sense. We cannot allow the costs to get out of hand. To which Luis Suarez says, no, what you need to do is renew Leo Messi.
Plain and simple. Sid got it right. He got it in a nutshell with his article on ESPNFC.com. Very tough to write an article about a player re-signing with the club and generating excitement. But check this out on ESPNFC.com. I think you'll enjoy Sid's article about Messi penning a new contract and taken through to the age of 34. When we return, we'll stay with Sid and get the latest on the Real Madrid transfer news. What next for Alvaro Morata? Let's go back to Sid in Madrid and switch the focus to Real Madrid. We were all caught a little unawares by the Romelu Lukaku developments. I imagine the Merengues and one Alvaro Morata were caught a little unawares by the development too. What's the latest from there?
Yeah, as you say, that they weren't anticipating that. That said, there was a meeting at the Bernabeu earlier in the week between Alvaro Morata's father, his agent, and Real Madrid to try and force the deal through, to try and get it done. They were aware of the fact that Manchester United and Real Madrid still had not met on a price. They still weren't agreeing a fee. And they always knew, all the way along Alvaro Morata's camp, that they could agree a deal with Manchester United. They could set everything up, but they needed the two clubs to come to reach that deal, and it didn't happen. Now, they I think, have been caught out by this. I think they anticipated that there were problems brewing, that this needed to be brought to head, and it hasn't happened. And this, I think, the assumption now will be that this ends any chance of Alvaro Morata going to Manchester United. I must admit, there's a little bit of me that wonders, is there still a chance that they actually buy both of them? But I don't think it's very likely. I was intrigued as well, listening to Mark talk about how Lukaku was always Manchester United's first choice, because they've gone a very long way down the road with Alvaro Morata. If this was effectively a smokescreen, or at least only an alternative to their other signing, my feeling intuitively is certainly from Morata's point of view that they thought there was a good chance of this, but they knew that Real Madrid weren't going to drop on the price. And ultimately, I suppose, United, pushed by the need to get on with pre-season training, pushed by the need to have their squad ready for that moment, have decided to go elsewhere.
And Sid, does that leave Chelsea as the logical destination for Morata and his, the man who admires him very much, Antonio Conte, perhaps being his boss?
Mm. Well, look, on the face of it, yes, 100% it leaves Chelsea as the logical outcome. Obviously, the other outcome at the moment, and let's see if other clubs emerge, is that he stays at Real Madrid, which is not what he wants to do, because he doesn't entirely believe those promises, if you like, that he'll play a key part. This season, he's got a better goals per minute ratio than anyone else. He's played over 40 games across the course of the season, but here's the key statistic for you. From the last 16 stage of the Champions League onwards, all the way through to the final, he only played 25 minutes. And Morata feels, at his age, at 24, that he needs to take that big step now, that he hasn't quite done it. And this was the opportunity to go to Manchester United. Now, earlier in the spring, he thought that his obvious next destination was Chelsea. There was a slight sense of surprise in the Morata camp, I think, that Chelsea hadn't come in with a big bid, presumably because they'd focused all of their attention on Lukaku, because Antonio Conte's long-term future perhaps is not entirely tied down at Chelsea. And there was a sense that it's a bit odd that this hasn't kind of been forced through, that they haven't followed up with that interest that was there, because, as you say, Conte, a big admirer of Morata, has tried to bring him in twice and without working with him either time. Brought him in at Juventus and then moved on. Tried to bring him in at Chelsea last summer and it didn't happen. They thought that might happen this time, but then all of the focus had gone into Manchester United. The good news, I suppose, from Morata's point of view, and possibly even from Real Madrid, if ultimately they do want the money from Morata, is that it's only early July. There's still plenty of time to go. We've got almost 2 months for this to be resolved, to try and find an alternative. And given that Lukaku's out the window now for Chelsea, unless, of course, they can match United and beat them to him still, then you would say that Morata makes sense. That's not to say it will happen, but it certainly makes sense.
Ali, what's your take if the dominoes all fall the way it looks like they're going to?
The first thing is that Álvaro Morata needs to leave Real Madrid. He's reached the point of his career where he has to be playing. At 24 years old, the career of a player to maximize your earning potential, your potential as a player, you start getting to the point to where you have to get repetition. So sitting behind somebody else at Real Madrid, as prestigious a club as it is, you need to find an opportunity elsewhere. And if that's the case, well, it makes all the sense in the world for Álvaro Morata to go to Chelsea. Of course, this is all dependent upon Romelu Lukaku being finalized to Manchester United. A talented player that gives you multiple opportunities and multiple options in the attacking half, because he's got movement, he's got the skill to finish his chances. He's a guy that can provide you the hold-up play. Morata is the potential, because you haven't seen it happen in the Premier League, and you haven't seen it happen throughout the course of a whole season. But he is the full package if you believe that he can provide something special for you.
I think with Conte having Morata at Juve, he knows the system. He knows the system that Conte wants to play at Chelsea. I think that Chelsea fans, and I think the manager, Conte, will be licking his lips if he can get Morata, because you see the type of goals that he can score. He can score all types of goals. He's great upstairs. He holds it up well. He can run the channels if you want him to. You know, he's a classic modern-day number 9 in my view, and it keeps you playing. You know, when you're being high press, you can play beyond the high press, and it gets you out. I think he's a terrific player.
Good fit for Chelsea, potentially, Stevie?
Listen, I think Chelsea...
A better fit than Lukaku,
absolutely. Chelsea are going to end up actually coming out OK on this if they'd get Morata.
Yeah.
For me, listen, there's a couple of things that Lukaku has, Morata doesn't, and that is just power and strength.
And a proven...
I'll have a football player over that every day of the week.
And a proven Premier League goal-scoring record. Lukaku has that.
Well,
Morata doesn't yet.
Well, he's got a proven goal-scoring record with a team that aren't under severe pressure week in and week out.
But he hasn't been the main man yet, has he?
Well, because he's had a few decent players in front of him at Real Madrid.
Right.
But look, when he played at Juventus, he's exactly what Conte wanted. He was that outball. And when was it Tevez bouncing around him and Mandzukic, but they were very, very decent. I think this is if Chelsea can get him, I think the Chelsea fans, they will be very, very happy.
Sid, thanks ever so much for your contributions, as always. And remember, check out his column, ESPNFC.com, the terrific article on Barcelona. Have I said it's terrific enough times?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I probably have.
You get paid back for this? Huh? Royalty, something?
Check your local listings for the next edition of ESPN FC, wherever you're watching around the world.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, you know, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Just to finish up today's show, the big news on Romelu Lukaku. We're hearing a medical schedule for Los Angeles, where, of course, he's been vacationing. And Brian, reaction to the transfer news, tweeting in and identifying you, Stevie, as the originator of the Lukaku trademark.
I actually
phrase.
did. Alejandro was mocking me doing it. And it's
fact.
I'd have to say, he does it better than me.
Well, thank you.
Final thoughts, though, guys. Just a few seconds. £75 million, $100 million for Romelu Lukaku? Is it crazy?
Every player that you sign is a risk. I think that obviously Mourinho's done his homework on Lukaku. He thinks that he can do the job in tight areas. I personally don't think so, but I hope he's successful.
Well, it is true that every player is a risk. If you come on a free transfer, it's not that much of a risk.
Still a risk, though.
When it's $100 million involved, the risk becomes a whole lot bigger. But you assume that this guy has a track record in the Premier League for him to come through for Manchester United.
It's a lot of money, Stevie.
It's a lot.
Any way you slice it, it's a lot of money.
You know what? The way the market is you've just got to pay the going rate, regardless whether we think they're worth it or not. I'm just shocked.
Spoken by a true Scotsman.
Now we want some.
What player is that? What player is that?
Lukaku!
Lukaku!
And you can be sure there'll be more on Lukaku tomorrow. We'll see you then. Welcome into ESPN FC Extra Time, a Romelu Lukaku flavoured ESPN
Well
FC
said.
Extra Time. Yes.
Lukaku?
It was a tongue twister, that one. And that is our first question. Simply that.
Yes.
Bernard, paying homage to Stevie's catchphrase. It's become your catchphrase. Now you can say it a lot more. Well, Ali's, I thought it was
I think
Ali's.
it's become yours, isn't it? Well, I said it. And
You
he
were
was,
the original.
You invented it, he expanded upon it.
well, he was taking the mick out of me.
Correct.
Right.
I was making fun of Stevie.
Making fun of
However,
me.
now
However,
it's appropriate to say Lukaku.
It's like Alexander Graham Bell made the telephone, AT&T expanded it. Well, something like that.
Sorry?
I've lost you there.
Sorry. What about Busby? I thought it was Busby.
Was it?
Oh, it was Busby, wasn't it?
So, Bernard, yeah, well, he sums it up with that, doesn't he? Question mark. I don't know if there is actually a question there, or if it's just an exclamation mark at the end of it.
No.
Question mark.
I believe
There's
he's
question
familiar
marks
with the
there
way
as
we
well.
address the name
Right.
of Romelu.
No, exactly. But is there an answer
I've got my
to that
question
I don't know. I think we've moved on to the next one.
Yeah.
Adrian.
No, we have.
I don't want
Oh,
to
we
tell you
have.
how to
Okay.
do your show, but
All right, well, I'll put my glasses on. Cupid says, should Manchester United stop doing deals with Real Madrid because they keep on getting the runaround? Apparently Jose got fed up waiting for Morata. Is that the way you see it?
Well, the thing is, as we've been talking about, he's going away with the team. He wants a key piece of his football club to be in place. And if Real Madrid were not happy dealing Morata with United, then he said, "Okay, I'll get Lukaku." So maybe that is one of the reasons.
Do you sense they've been given the runaround by Real Madrid? Is that your sense of...
No, I don't think so. I think Real Madrid is in a position of power because the player's under contract, and as much as he wants to leave, well, then there is a price for that player to leave. And so then you demand whatever that price is from other teams. If other teams want this player, they have to pay this price. As simple as that. It's not Real Madrid's job or position to say, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give you a hometown discount, Manchester United. Just go ahead and take the player. No, look, it's business.
Well, from Real Madrid and Messi's Morata and Ronaldo to Jack Harrison. We don't make that jump very often, do we? But how good is Jack Harrison? Asked Brian. Is he good enough to make a move back to England in the near future to play in the Premier League? 20 years old, second season with NYCFC, for whom he's been very good. But how good is that?
Right now, the answer would be no. He's not ready for
Former
the
United youth team player?
Yeah, I think the thing with Jack is all about consistency. You know, as you say, he's only 20, but you've got to be consistent. And I don't think he's quite there just yet. There's no doubt he's got some talent. I mean, he works very well in Vieira's system. So there's definitely something there, but not yet.
Yeah, I think Patrick Vieira would be the first one to tell you that Jack Harrison has a lot of room to grow. And there is a maturity as a player, as a professional, as being able to perform consistently, as Paul is alluding to. The fact that he has to be productive, not just in taking a player on and looking good doing it, but for there to be an end product at the end of things. And that's the part that perhaps Patrick Vieira would tell you that Jack Harrison has to improve upon.
If you think about the Premier League, they have scouts whose job is to go around the world and look at talent and try and get that talent in as early as they can to save money.
Yeah.
But for Jack, he needs to play. So for him to go to a Premier League club tomorrow and not play doesn't make any sense for him. He's not ready, number one, but two, he needs to keep playing with.
And he's in a good spot with the New York side, and Patrick Vieira, he couldn't have a better coach. I mean, he's really got him going. So I think Stevie's right. I think he stay where he is.
All right, most important question of the night. We always save the best for last. So what were the worst kits you guys ever had to wear? All the important, far-reaching questions.
Tell you what, we had a green and white.
You had
kit
some
at
shocking
Liverpool.
away kits, for Liverpool.
With a green and white one.
Oh,
and
was that the one with candy?
I think we went a season with it winning away from home in it or something. It was horrible.
So the psychological
green and white.
barriers,
I tell you what,
Dave.
when you think of green and white, you automatically think of Liverpool. Don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
right.
thing that springs to mind.
It was horrible.
Guile, maybe your forward team.
Yeah, we had at Ipswich, we had black shorts and bright orange shirts and socks.
What?
Was that
Exactly.
Was that under Bobby Robson?
Yeah,
That was his decision?
under Sir Bob.
Yeah.
Don't know where it came from, Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all.
Was quickly gone, I take it.
Quickly gone.
So one season
and I'll tell
wonder.
you, another strip I didn't like was at Arsenal, the second strip, that yellow and blue.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah.
I know some people think it's cool, but I didn't like
They
it.
still wear that sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the worst kid, but before there was a Houston Dynamo, there was a Houston 1836.
Ooh.
When we moved from San Jose to Houston, that was the original name.
Yeah.
We were never able to use the uniforms because, well, there was an uproar in Houston, and they changed the name of the team.
It was a little insensitive, that name.
However, I do own the kit for 1836.
Oh,
it's not bad looking.
Well, you got to bring that in one day.
But there's, that's a little bit of MLS history.
Collector's item.
What was the colour?
It was probably still
it was the same colours as they have now.
Just as well none of you played for...
We just changed the name.
What's the colour?
Just as well none of you played for...
Might have been white or something.
Remember that Coventry City?
Had to be white.
Coventry City kit in the 70s? Just as well none of you played in that. Remember that? Brown with yellow
Oh,
trim?
it was shocking.
Nightmare. Never look at that online.
Brian Kilcline wore it very well. His shorts were up here and he was 6'5".
See, you're havering the...
Killer Kilcline. What a player. Check him out.
Yeah. We will be with you again on Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern start time. ESPN News, the place.